This conference will now be recorded.
Made a calculation so that it's relevant
So
into
you
the future.
hold them to it.
Did you make copies of them? Oh, yes, thank you, sir.
I think I brought them.
I appreciate that.
I can get another one printed out for you real quick. The meeting is being recorded and we're ready to start whenever you're ready, Chairman. Okay.
The only
Now I don't have
way I
the,
think you can is if,
did I get my copy back?
so I thought so, but reduce or eliminate.
I don't know.
It's probably still in the copy.
Here's an extra one. There's yours.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, is it,
Cost.
is that clock right?
And whose pen is this? Is this your pen too?
The clock up here says 3:30.
This too.
Is this your pen too?
Yes.
Taken?
Thank you.
I've taken.
Right.
Okay,
So it remains before.
I'm going to call this meeting of the Port Orford Planning Commission, City Planning Commission to order. It's 3:30. Who is here? Commissioner Lawton,
Here.
Commissioner Head,
Here.
Commissioner Lovendall,
Here.
Commissioner Burnt,
Here.
Commissioner Thielen is here, and Planner Shoji is here.
It's amazing what they can do.
And thank you all for being here. We are doing our public service as citizens. Chair comments. I don't think I have any comments at this time. Public comments? Any comments from anyone online that has a comment about something on the agenda? Do we have anyone online?
We have 3 people online.
Great.
None of them are raising their.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Hui Rodomsky. I'm just calling in from DLCD.
Okay, yes, this is a good time. Wei, thank you for showing up. Thanks for being here. And we did have some questions for you. And
Sure.
Crystal was going to lead this part of the
Okay,
meeting.
we're actually going into planning matters.
Yes, this is planning matters.
Okay, so.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, hi. So Wei Radomski is with us. She is our DLCD representative. And we're going to be going through all of number 5, the different sections. But we are going to move Wei's part to the beginning, and that's number 3, because she is going to be available to us for a future presentation and for a public workshop and discussion about what is going on with housing. And she also works around the state and works with the state people. And she would like to be here when we talk about public involvement and what we're going to do. So I'll let her introduce herself first and give some ideas. And then Wei, you can just participate with us as long as you want when we're talking about the planning matters for the technical assistance grant.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Thanks for inviting me to this meeting as well. I would just say that I stepped out of another meeting that was all afternoon. So if I could stay for maybe 30 minutes, if that will work. I would appreciate, I guess, being able to finish my part. I hope I wouldn't have to take 30 minutes. That's a big chunk of time. As the South Coast Regional Representative for the Department of Land, Conservation and Development, so DLCD is the state lead agency for land use planning, and planning is a partnership between the state and local governments. So as the liaison in South Coast is mostly Coastal Land, Coastal Douglas, Coos and Curry for DLCD. That as a regional rep and the liaison between the state DLCD and local governments and communities on the South Coast. And as part of that role, I provide for free any trainings that you would like that's on land use or coastal resource protection, on that type of thing. And if I'm not the person to present on that information, I have a team of specialists and other folks that I could tap into to bring that expert knowledge to present. So that's one thing is, any topics that's coastal related, we can talk about, and then we can see who will be good to present if you want to learn about something. And we can do, deep dives if, we feel that we would like to bring in somebody besides me to talk about the issue. And maybe before I go further, I would. Hello?
Wait, do you have your camera on, or are you willing to put it on?
I should just do the phone call thing, actually not on the app.
Okay, that's okay.
So,
I just wanted
yeah.
to see you if we could.
Yeah.
Thank
Right. I'm sorry. I should have prepared better. I'm just on my cell phone right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the training. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So all the trainings we provide for free, and just whatever your interest is. Oh, right. I was gonna say that before I go further about what we have to offer, I just want to say that my background is I'm a biologist by education, and I also have a master's in environmental science. And I've worked in marine and coastal natural resource management issues since I don't know, since working. So I do have coastal specific knowledge, and that is also where my motivation comes from when I work in land planning on the coast. Is that my passion is coastal ecosystems, communities, and governance, and how can we merge the three and make it work for everybody. So besides trainings, I am embarking on a new collaboration with Oregon Humanities through, you may have heard of their Conversation Project for community conversations for public engagement. And so I've been trained as one of their conversation leaders, and my department and Oregon Humanities are collaborating where I could be basically associated with Oregon Humanities while providing these community conversations. So that could look something like I visit Port Orford and I just hold a community conversation where we're not necessarily talking about, land use regulations, but more talking about, just community stuff, what do people feel, how do we see our community type thing, more of a open-ended, just to come and learn about the community and everybody's motivations. We can do that in person, we can do that through Zoom, and again, it's associated with Oregon Humanities. So my hope is that because they have a bigger platform for these type of engagement, that I could, via their platform, attract more community members to come and participate in our conversation. Because one of the challenges, as you may know, in Port Orford is that a lot of small communities are struggling to find volunteers for planning commissioners because people, maybe just be intimidated by what planning is, or by having to read, or just I feel like the word just commission could scare people from trying to figure out what it is that we're doing. So so part of my not hidden agenda, but part of what I'm hoping to do as well with the public engagement through these conversations is to hopefully get more people to know that being a plan commissioner, is totally doable by anyone, and that it's good for whoever participates, because we're all learning about, how land use is done at the city or county level, and how people can change or affect change in their communities, and carry out a vision type thing. So I've tried that one time in North Bend to try to get any, but there was no one signed up. So because I was not associated with Oregon Humanities at that time, so I was wondering if that would make a difference if I had a different organization advertise for me, kind of thing. And Crystal, you're right about the whole I can't see you guys and you can't see me thing. Now I can't see any faces. I'm looking track of what I'm supposed to be talking about. So Crystal, if you could redirect me or tell me to talk about something else, I'm happy
Just
to.
slow down a little bit, and I'm going to just add a little bit about it, or slow down a little bit so that we understand you better. And then
Okay.
I want to explain a little bit about Oregon Humanities. Oregon Humanities goes around the state, and some of you have probably attended these, but they do talking conversations about different topics that are of interest to people, and they're very good. And they have facilitators go around the state and do that. And I think what Wei is suggesting sounds great, because that would be a way for her to utilize the Oregon Humanities format to help us engage our public. And really, that gives more oomph behind what she's doing, because then there's two different kinds of cultural engagements at one time. And Wei doesn't know this yet, but she even suggested that I apply to be on the Oregon Humanities Advisory Board, and they appointed me, Wei.
Nice. I'm so glad to hear that, Crystal. Yay!
I thought it was a good
That's great
suggestion,
news.
because I'd always thought about going around and doing those conversations like she is saying that she's going to do. And then I just thought, well, I have a job here, and so I probably wouldn't be doing that. But anyway, yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Wei, with what you're doing.
Okay.
Just slow down a little bit so we can hear you better, since we can't see you.
You're right. Yes, I do need to slow down. Thank you. So yes, these conversations, I also see, just as Crystal said, that we could hopefully capture more, cross section of the community, maybe who are people who are not, your quote unquote usual suspects who attend land use hearings, who, voice their concerns to the city or county about planning issues. Just hoping to capture, or intersect with more of the community that we may not usually hear about, but who obviously are also impacted by land use decisions. And so the collaboration between DLCD and Oregon Humanities is exactly what Crystal is saying, is that she has a full-time job. She loves to do it, but she can't because she has a full-time job. And that's where I was as well, as I want to do these, but I have a full-time job. So I asked DLCD if they would be open to Oregon Humanities still paying for the fees, would it go towards just my salary, and then count my time during conversations as my usual 40-hour per week work. So, and they, DLCD approved this proposal, and Oregon Humanities was fully on board. So what I'm currently doing is developing, I guess, a conversation design, which I need to look further into. So if any of you have any ideas of what type of topics or issues that you would like to see in these conversations, please email me. So that I could help to build, or I could design a better, a more relevant conversation for these efforts. And
maybe we will have a chance to talk about that a little bit today when we go through our public involvement plan, which we could do right now if you want. Wei.
Yeah, up to you.
Because we have a page here about public involvement things that the Planning Commission actually suggested at the last meeting. And we were going to talk today about the formats when you would come down and talk with the Planning Commission. And I think that what you're suggesting is that we could have input into the formats and the conversation today if we wanted to.
Yes, yes. And feel free to email me if an idea comes to you later, because, you know, these conversations, you know, for me, my motivation is to learn more about the communities and everybody's views and thoughts, just so that we can learn to work better together. That's why I'm personally motivated to have these conversations, because it would absolutely help in my role as well.
So does Oregon
Just to understand,
Humanities,
yeah.
when you come to a city and we partner with you and with Oregon Humanities, would you be involved in promoting your visit here with Oregon Humanities and through DLCD, or would that be left up to us?
Oh, it was definitely by Oregon Humanities, and the DLCD would definitely promote that too. And you know, any effort you can do as well locally, would deeply appreciate, so that you know, people would come out.
So how would you do that? Do you get a list from the library, or do you get lists from us, or does Oregon Humanities already have a list of people in Port Orford that they communicate with? How does that work?
I don't. Well, I know that they have newsletters people can sign up for that would tell folks of upcoming community conversations. That's how I get notified of any upcoming ones. I know the website has it too. So what I will do is, when we have it all set up, I will just forward Port Orford the links to Oregon Humanities website, and also I would you know, communicate with city folks too, and just people in the region in general. Just let them know that we're going to be having this. So yes, we will hopefully advertise it widely so that we could have participation.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
we're not, the onus would not be on the city to do that, but any help will be appreciated.
And I think Jennifer was, maybe she's an artist, and you were at one time talking about maybe doing a graphic that we could use.
Yeah, we were talking about making an infographic to circulate in the community, because a lot of community members don't have Facebook or maybe don't read the paper, so we can put it up at the library, the post office, and Raise. But I just would need some guidance on what the salient points are and the priorities are for us to convey in the infographic.
Okay. Yep, sounds good.
How soon would, like, once we schedule kind of the month when you think we should do this meeting, how soon would you need that communication with Jennifer and the rest of us?
I think that why don't let me do the next step, which is to set up the design of the conversation with Oregon Humanities, and you know, get any ideas of topics and issues. You know, please let me know.
Because you know the topic is housing, so you know a lot about that.
Well, we want to do wider than housing. We want to do, for example, you know, coastal or like, you know, drinking water issues, which I'm currently at. I know there's going to be one in Port Orford on Wednesday, I believe. I'm not able to make it down this Wednesday, or is it Wednesday or Thursday? Anyways, so the folks that's in Newport right now will make their way down to Port Orford, but I won't be able to attend that in person. But topics like that, where,
know what
you know,
it is.
What's that?
We don't know. I don't think we know what you're talking about.
Oh, so DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, they are doing a series of workshops. It's for the one in Newport. It started at 11:30 today, and they fed everybody, and it ends at 4:30 today. So it's a whole afternoon thing, and they're talking about drinking water protection issues. They went through, for example, the maps they have to help prioritize drinking water protection areas. or which parcels that might be more higher priority to protect than other parcels. And they went through, what say a conservation easement may look like to protect these lands, funding sources, which my colleague at DLCD, Claire Figner, presented on some funding opportunities that we have DLCD through NOAA, because my part of DLCD is a federal state partnership through the Coastal Zone Management Act. I think Claire said that she won't be able to make in person to Port Orford. She'll be presenting remotely for that one. I'm surprised that you
we don't
haven't
get it.
heard.
Is there any way for us to have just an online, maybe a meeting with you online to talk about, the issue of creating infographics and communications for the community
Yes,
sort of in a timely manner before they're needed?
yes, you're right. Yes. So, so we meandered quite a bit. So what I was gonna say is that I need to set up that conversation design with Org Humanities, and once I'm done with that, then I'll have a better timeline for you to work on this infographic together thing.
Okay. Do you have a
okay?
roundabout?
So yeah, so just I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you have a sort of a roundabout idea of when that might be?
Honestly, I don't. I am just at the beginning of working on this conversation design. How much lead time do you need?
Was that a question? Sorry, I didn't. Can you repeat that?
Yep. How much lead time do you need?
Well, ideally 2 weeks to create the infographic, I would say, but
Okay.
I'm traveling a lot for work in the spring, so I was just trying to get an idea of when this might occur.
Sure.
That'll be when we get this meeting with her. And I think that April might be a good time.
Okay, April.
If she thinks that and you guys think that, that's
Okay.
part of the topic today.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
April does sound like a good time.
okay, we can find a time that works for everybody, but April, I just needed,
That was what I was thinking. I was thinking March, in the end of March or April would be a good time to do
Okay.
that.
end of
Before we get too far into our code things, to just get an overview of housing, and Way will come down. It won't be online with Way.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, I will come down. Yeah, yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you, you don't have anything that's going to keep you from coming yet in late March or sometime in April, right? Way?
Currently, no, correct. And right, and then we'll find a time to do it. And I also mentioned that since we're talking about springtime already, that in the spring we have our South Coast and North Coast, but separated by the regions, planner network meetings. So typically on the South Coast we do it in Bandon. I think last year or the year before we did in April. Oh, we did in April. No, I think, I'm sorry. Okay, I think April is usually when we do it. But when we came out of pandemic in 2022, we did it in May because we opened in May. We couldn't get in person until May 1st, 2022, as state employees. So in 2022, we did it in May, but I think April is usually when we would do our spring planners, coastal planners network meeting. So just flag that for your calendar so that if you are interested in coming to our planner network meeting, it's going to be in Bandon in the springtime. Please keep that in mind.
Okay, well, we will talk about when we could have this meeting. Chair Thielen and I were just looking at the schedule, and our regular meeting is April 2nd. And if we don't have a public hearing item, we might want to combine it with that. If we do have a public hearing item, we could go on another Tuesday, which probably would fit people's schedules since they're used to coming to this. And do an April Tuesday if that works for you, Wei.
And are we talking about this for the community conversation right now, or just a meeting in general? Or
This
for
would be about
the-
the community conversation about housing.
Okay, about housing.
Well, I mean, we're doing the
okay.
housing grant, so that's what I'm hoping that we will kind of focus.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is associated with the grant. The information we're trying to gather about housing. Okay,
So
got
that we
it.
can get the public involved in understanding what's going
Right.
on with the state and what the
Right.
options are and what we're going to be discussing throughout this project.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Could we do a date that's not Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday? The only reason is because I have joint custody well with my kids, and I have them Monday and Tuesday nights, and I would prefer to not have to travel and on Monday or Tuesday
Yeah,
if
we
I
might
don't
be able
have
to
to.
look
And
at
for
some dates
okay.
before the meeting is
Okay.
over and give you some options.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Crystal, you want me to cover or talk about?
No, I think it's nice to have you online with us, and it'll be even nicer in person. So
Yes,
we
yes,
will.
and I
look at
apologize for
some
not
dates.
being on camera.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll look at some dates before
sounds
the
good.
meeting's over and try to connect. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Thank you, everybody. And sorry again, I can't see you and you can't see me. I do very much feel the effect of that right now. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you letting me be in your meeting right now. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Wei,
you, Wei.
for coming.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, so let's go back into the schedule. So we've been talking about number 3, future presentation by Wei to come for a public workshop and discussion. And I think it would be good to try to look at some dates of when we think that might be possible. And I'm looking at, I think even late March might be better than April, just because then we have more time to start working on the meat of this thing.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. And I'm going to be gone the whole last week of March for work.
I'm going to put your names by these so I know who's.
Mhm. I'll be gone from the 25th to the 29th.
First week of April, my husband's having a hip replacement,
So,
finally.
so how about yeah, so otherwise we're kind of in the,
Could be the week before that.
like the 18th, or, well, not the 18th or 19th, but like the 14th or something like that of March, are you thinking?
Sure. I'm free on the 14th.
But that doesn't give you much time to plan.
For,
But I think that might work. Let's just put that
Well-
at one date.
oh, you mean to
March
have something by the month, you mean? If we meet with Wei on the 14th and then,
Well, no, I'm talking about when Wei comes down here to
okay,
meet with the citizens, the
right.
public.
And when is that happening?
Well, that's what we're talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the early meeting is,
So I think March
Early
14th
meeting.
might be a little early, but I don't know. Because we
Okay.
got to put up posters, we got to get the stuff ready.
yeah. I mean, that's just for us to start coordinating, right, our efforts, or?
Well, no, I was thinking of an option for a date. So I'm thinking
Oh.
that we're thinking March 14th is too early. But
Oh.
if we start pushing it back very far,
Then it's
it's
too
not going to be
late.
useful because we're
Right.
already going to be doing
Right.
into our codes and stuff, and the public doesn't even have a way to be involved.
What about the following week, like the 20?
Jennifer,
21st is city council, but I don't know that that matters.
I'm not sure
Oh, you
that
can leave
impacts
that out.
us.
Well, where would we be having this?
Probably, yeah, here.
We do it
Probably
here.
right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were saying it's city council, this meeting as well?
5:30.
Yeah, 5:30, yeah. So we'd have to do it earlier in
Is
the
a
day.
Friday night a bad time to do it?
Mm,
Yeah.
potatoes.
I don't know what Porter.
I could make it work on the 22nd. I have a meeting that ends at 3 p.m.
You're talking about March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's look the first week in April. Did people say no to the first week in April?
Shouldn't say, 22nd would be okay. I mean, Friday is not,
But if Friday's not the best for the public, that's what we're doing.
yeah.
The other thing is having it during the day is not good for public because there's so many people.
I think it needs to be early
It needs to
evening.
be an evening, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, after dinner
yes,
Mm-hmm.
or, yeah.
absolutely.
So
Or
let's see.
5:30
Or
to
5:30,
6:30. Yeah.
5:30,
Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we could do Tuesday of that week.
Thursday is,
Wednesday
Yeah.
night, I'm okay, almost just Wednesday during the day.
How about
Thursday evening be okay?
Thursday evening, the
Great.
March 21st? Is that what you're thinking?
Can't be
Oh,
That's
I'm
a
sorry,
council.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Wednesday.
Wednesday, the
Is Wednesday
20th?
Day for a
I
meeting.
know, it's okay. It's just that I can, yeah. I'm
Wednesday, the
working.
20th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
work hard.
6 p.m.
Yeah, because I work.
I couldn't do it
Mhm,
on
same here.
March 20th because I have a board meeting with Land Trust.
Okay.
How about the 19th? Tuesday?
If I'm not mistaken, Way
Way doesn't want
not to do it on a
Tuesdays.
Monday
Oh.
or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Friday, I mean, Friday evening.
So the 22nd or Thursday, you're going to be
What
gone the
about the
28th,
first week in,
right?
Yeah, I'll be gone the following week.
Okay.
what about the first week in April?
The 4th or the 5th of April?
Yeah.
The 4th or the 5th. I might be in London, but it's not solid yet, so.
Parks has a meeting at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April,
That's in here.
and it's in here.
About the 5th. Or maybe
Okay.
Friday night, people are done working, they don't have to work the next day.
Mm-hmm. You think March is too soon? Is that why?
So either the
Mhm.
22nd of March or the
The
5th
5th.
of April.
I think we need to I'm starting to think I just need to put out some things and some options and see, because we're not going to get everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Even this group, we have no Wednesdays, no Tuesdays, no Mondays.
Mhm.
And then we have city council meetings and parks meetings and everything on Thursdays.
I think also Fridays aren't a good idea for
No.
the general public because people are usually done with
Okay.
work and
So
putting
I'm
their
gonna
feet
send
up
out-
and relaxing.
I'm going to send out with Joseph, and we're going to send out some options, and we'll just take the best date.
Yeah, I'm pretty open myself, more so than others, I think.
Because it's just, we could just sit here all night and we're not
Mhm.
going to get everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, we want to have infographics and communications done before this meeting.
Yeah,
So-
because they would be to
Right.
promote the meeting.
So we would need to have follow up with Way before that
Yes,
to get feedback
right.
on what our messaging is. And
Right.
okay, just trying to keep track of.
And
the
I may plan the format of the meeting. I'm not sure how they organize these.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know that she was suggesting the humanities
Right.
format.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we have to follow the DLCD format to some degree.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean,
Okay.
what we have to be discussing is what we have to cover in our housing. And so what we want is community involvement that will feed into our proposals that we do throughout this year.
Right.
In other words, what kind of ideas do people have for ADUs? What kind of ideas do people have for parking? What about
different formats like tiny houses and things like that, tiny house subdivisions. What do they want to see for Port Orford? And the community, if we get enough people here, we could have some little groups of like 3 people together at different tables or something, and then they come back to us with a report
Mm-hmm.
of what they think we have to be concerned about
Right.
so that we can feed that into our planning efforts and we have some context from other people before we start making our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have all summer to get ready for this.
Right.
We have just a few months here before we're thick into deciding what we want for the code. And
Mhm.
once we decide what we want, then we're into public hearings. That's not a time for people to be creative. It's a time for people to look at what we've done and see if they like it or don't like it.
Right.
So that's why,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think we have to do this fairly soon as a start.
If we do it in the second week of April or after, then we have 2 more planning meetings before.
Yes, and I won't
The
be here
public
in
meeting.
June and
Okay.
at all. I mean, I just won't be able to be here.
Right.
And we don't have every planning commission meeting to do the housing because we're going to have public hearings and things, I'm sure, at certain times. And we have scheduled for a certain amount of meetings with DLCD, and that's pretty much what we're going to stick to. And I think it's like, because you do the introductory meetings, which we're kind of on our second introductory meeting now. And it'll be time to start going into code changes and options and things like that. Then we only have 3 times that we talk about housing before we go into public hearings. And then after the public hearings, we have to, revise and do that part. And then by then, we're into 2025.
Okay.
So there's kind of a schedule that we have to stick to. And the public involvement can come throughout because Greg can give a time for that at the end of each meeting, or he can decide to take comments in the meetings, when we are on a topic, give each topic a little bit of time, like a workshop meeting. But we won't be able to have meetings every single month to do the housing study because we're going to be doing other things, I'm
So
sure.
maybe we'll have to have some separate workshops like like the city council have.
Well, and we might want to have a workshop with the city council once we have our ideas to see if they like buy into those right before we go
Mhm.
into the public hearings.
Yeah.
So,
Didn't we have that on here for August?
yeah.
A
Well, I
city
mean, that's
council
what, yeah.
Meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, that only gives us, I mean, we don't have to be ready because still we want to join with the council in what they think. But we have to have a few of our own ideas so we know what we're talking
When
about.
was that meeting proposed for?
Oh, I think it's on the schedule for
Yeah.
August. Yeah.
Oh, for August. Okay.
Mhm.
So, okay, I got my plans for that. So, do you want to have a joint meeting with the city council in August or September?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'd prefer August, earlier rather than later.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And then, so here's some of the ideas in number 4 here that we put down for things that little groups could talk about. Tiny home subdivisions.
Wait, number 4, where are we?
Which sheet?
We're under planning matters technical assistance grant.
Oh,
And there's a Roman numeral 4.
planning matters.
So that's where
Okay.
we have the interactive workshop for public involvement and brainstorming. And then we could have people talk to us about tiny home subdivisions, tiny home parks, things like that. Do they
Mhm.
see that as a viable option for
Mhm.
Port Orford?
I wonder if it would be helpful to maybe have John Isidore at that meeting, because there could be issues related to like city hookups and sewer and whether we can,
I think that would be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think, it's going to be a big deal to know whether an ADU needs an entirely new hookup to the city, because that would be cost prohibitive.
Well, and also, one thing we haven't talked about is water.
Right. That's
You
what I
know,
mean. Yeah,
like
water
how
hookups.
many, when do we expect to have water?
Right.
We don't have any communications about
Moratorium.
that right now,
Or if ADUs can come off the water from existing houses, then there
except
wouldn't.
maybe
But-
not, I don't know.
Yeah, but it increases the burden on the system
Yeah,
as
because
well.
it's still the same amount of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different things to talk about.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then there's a difference between a tiny home subdivision where everybody owns their own lots,
Right.
which we could do right now in if you look at where the 4C zone is, because that zone does not have a minimum lot size.
Mhm.
And so if there was enough open land, you could do a tiny home subdivision. The
Mhm.
trouble is if you do, and these are just things that we could talk about at our, public meeting. You can do tiny home parks or you can do tiny home subdivisions, and
Right.
they're a totally different thing because
Mhm.
in one, everybody owns their own, and then the other, somebody takes responsibility. And so those become rentals. They don't become owners, because otherwise, how do you take care of your roads and stuff like that?
Right. Well, there was, if memory serves, before I came to planning, Guy Vernon, didn't he come with a proposal to
Yes,
create?
he did. And that's what started our talking about this. And then it got cut off in August. The city didn't want to. I think Jessica had too many things in front
So we
of her.
can reevaluate that idea. I think he was going to maintain ownership of the land and have the individual owners own their homes, but have it be like an
He
HOA.
didn't ever really state that, and that's
Okay.
what concerned me, why it was taking us so long to do and I could have had the wrong impression, but that's why I was trying to do a PUD, rejuvenation of the PUD in a little bit different format, because a PUD sets up where you have some way to take care of roads and stuff like that. And if you don't have that, you don't have a long-term place for people to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so
What is PUD?
Huh?
PUD?
Well, it's a planned unit development,
Oh.
and ours is a very large one. It was done, it says you have to have 3 acres, and I don't think anybody's ever used
Mhm.
it. But I think that the city south of us.
Gold Beach?
Yeah, Gold Beach. They had the same thing. And they changed theirs through a PUD where they can do little tiny houses
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And people, you can have different kinds of things on a lot, and
Mhm.
they have somebody to take care of it. So that
Right.
would be a
If there are HOA
ownership.
fees, the fees go into the care and maintenance.
Yeah, but or else you'd but when you start talking about fees, if you have a lot of fees, they're not going to be affordable housing. So it's like
Mhm.
you might have that kind of a format for the housing with a PUD where one person owns it and you have rentals. it's
So
very
is
complicated.
that similar
Yeah.
to covenants like CC&R?
Yeah. And people don't like those because they do cost money. Yeah.
And if there are disputes, it becomes a civil matter.
Yes.
And yeah, that's difficult.
Or they get abandoned and nobody's doing anything.
So if I can just interject here, so just to keep things to focus on number 5, and I wondered if anyone had any other ideas on specifics for brainstorming that we might add to this list. We have the tiny home subdivisions, tiny homes park, ADUs, cluster housing subdivision, and the cluster housing planned unit development. If anyone had any more creative ways to furnish housing for our people. This covers a lot of them, I know.
It does. It seems like school buses or, things like that are are not an option, right? Because it's a vehicle.
I don't know.
Mhm.
It would need to be
A built dwelling.
Well, it would need to have plumbing and now I'm not saying that a school bus couldn't be
It
converted
could have
in a way.
plumbing. It could have all the things,
Yeah.
but it has wheels also.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Or like tiny houses on trailers, for example, movable things that are movable, not built in place.
mhm.
Those kinds of options.
So that's, well, yeah. So that's mobile home or RV. It would be called an RV.
Okay.
I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Because a mobile home is the same as a manufactured home under state law.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Right. I was unsure in the addendum, but yeah, something like that.
So, yeah.
What about discussion on how to make stick-built housing more affordable and how to retain that affordability? Because I know in California, I'll have to look it up, there were limits on the equity once one sells the home. There were limits on the equity for that home because of those incentives for purchasing it or building it. Do we want to talk about things
I
like
don't
that?
think we would be able to do that as a city.
Hmm.
And I don't think our state has that set up.
Not as a city. You mean as a city, we couldn't allow?
Well, I mean, I
certain
don't know if we
incentives?
would have it's not that we would be not able to do it. I mean, it's not that we couldn't do it, but we don't have the capacity, I don't think, to take on a bunch of things like that even the state isn't taking on.
Hmm.
Are you talking about like subsidized housing?
No, it would be incentives. For instance, reduced fees for the construction and looking at the different costs of building and how those can possibly be reduced. And
That would be at the county level, right? So reduced. Yeah.
it could be, yes.
Or
I don't know.
Well,
I watched
That would involve a body that had the resources to subsidize,
Mhm.
For a builder.
Or maybe
I think that's out of our purview. But you did recommend or mention something that I think is that we talked about before, which is doing away with or decreasing the size that is now mandated for a manufactured home.
minimum.
Yes.
and we have to change that.
So
Yeah.
should we? I think we should have that on this list.
Well, we have to change. We don't have a choice because
Okay.
now we're not allowed to have that 1,000.
Is there anything else in that code that should be also looked at that should bring us up to?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to there's a lot of stuff we have to put in the code and things we have to take out.
Mm.
For instance, RVs just became places where people could live in the last few years.
Mm.
Before that in Oregon, you couldn't do that. And so that changes all the definitions. It changes things throughout our code. And then the same way with, so at one time, everybody around the state had 1,000 square feet for what you could go down to in a
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Minimum.
in a
Yeah.
manufactured home. That has to be taken out. That is no longer something we can have. And when we take that out, that gives us other options because then we can have smaller regular housing than what we have had. But
because you're supposed to kind of keep the same options, whether it's a manufactured home or a stick-built home.
So Crystal, are you basically saying that those are things that don't need to be at the workshop, that will be taken care
Well,
of?
I mean, we could
on
explain
our
those at
list.
the workshop. Yeah. I mean, I think we have to educate them a little bit.
I think we should
at the
mention those.
workshop.
We should at least mention that's going to be happening, because we are a body that wants to inform the public. And I think I know people who have actually had that
Right.
issue. So
Mhm.
it is an issue.
Yeah, I would like to see us differentiate between a stick-built house on a trailer with wheels and a recreational vehicle. I feel like the longevity of a stick-built house on a trailer on wheels is different than an RV. I've lived in an RV.
Well,
They fall apart.
they even are in the code.
Mhm.
Well, we have manufactured homes that come in pieces. We have prefab homes defined in our code right now.
Mhm.
And then we have.
But a tiny home on wheels, I think, is kind of distinct from all those other categories.
Maybe only in size.
Does it stay on wheels? Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes, or it's brought to a site and then a foundation is built and the trailer, the foundation's basically built under the trailer and it's, not mobile anymore. But
I don't
sometimes,
even know. Does Oregon
sometimes
allow that?
sometimes they stay on wheels. I'm not sure. I think it's something to explore. I mean, is Susan Russell's
I've not heard of anybody doing homes on wheels
ADU?
in tiny homes on wheels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's how most of them
I have a
start.
friend that's building one right now.
No, they're commonly on wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, they stay on the wheels?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Portland, yeah.
Okay, if they're doing it in Portland, it's,
Yeah, they're built on a trailer frame.
Trailer frame.
Yeah.
and they live in them that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it can, you can put a foundation under it temporarily or lift it so that the strain isn't constantly on the wheels, but that's something that can be removed and then the tiny home on wheels can be moved somewhere else.
Okay.
I think you can also build supports around the,
Yeah.
like a foundation,
Mhm,
similar to
yeah.
the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a tiny home in two different categories, basically.
Yeah.
That-
On wheels.
on wheels
and
or-
built in place.
Or on a foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Could be built somewhere else and brought to the foundation, but yeah,
Right.
foundation and on wheels.
Something that comes to mind is if the definition of cluster housing mentions the number of homes that can be on a property, that should probably be discussed.
The only way we would have cluster housing, well, I mean, it wouldn't be the only way, but the way I would suggest we would have cluster housing is through the PUD. And that could be larger or smaller, depending on the amount of property or what the owner
Okay.
wanted to do, and also whether it was going to be a subdivision or a one ownership situation.
Okay.
I mean, that's not an
I
answer.
almost
that's
feel
just
like we
options.
need to have this sort of diagrammed, where during the workshop, we have someone sort of taking notes and.
We need visual aids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Because of all the options.
Right.
Yeah, and how they could be configured.
So who would be the facilitator? Because perhaps the facilitator could do something like that.
Maybe in advance, and then
I'll do it.
I'm just thinking of ways that make it easier for
Mhm.
people to
Mhm.
understand
Mhm.
and to illustrate.
Right.
Yeah.
I just have one
Thank
thing.
you. Any other ideas about,
Well, it's sort of.
or anything
To
else?
Carol's point, a bit to Carol's point, the cost, if you have a house, like, let's say I have an acre of land, the cost of dividing that possibly to put is enormous.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if that's primarily because you have to pay the people that do all the paperwork for it, but it was, I think, just to divide, like this one was going to be $17,000.
Surveyors
That
are
pro-
expensive.
That prohibits a lot of people from maybe dividing a piece of property into two places and putting a smaller home or more affordable housing. So they can't even get started.
So
Because I know that it was, I don't know how
I
we
think that,
address that.
I think there's well, I'm wondering, are we assuming that there are a lot of properties that could be divided? Because most lots are.
We just had a case where we granted partition to Guy, I forget his last name.
Vernon.
Right,
Vernon.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And
that was
he's
because it
built-
was commercial.
He's built 2 homes on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
But
just
he's saying those homes are like, I mean, they're not like tiny homes.
Oh, no.
well, the one is
first
500.
one that he built is under 700 square
It's
feet.
500, around 500 square feet. Yeah.
It's just like
Right
6
next to the
something.
RV park.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it,
So
well, it has
it's
a
pretty
loft.
small.
That's, I don't think is included in
But they don't have to be that big or they don't have to be that expensive. They can, for
Yeah.
cluster housing,
I
right?
mean, it's
They can be
1
small.
bedroom, 1 bath.
Right.
Um,
Cute, simple,
Well, it's an idea.
but it's expensive. I wonder if going off this same idea, if, you know, Pamela handed out this article, if there could be grants to subsidize, for example, the cost prohibitive hookup fees to the city or the cost of dividing properties, not necessarily, I don't know how you build 20 homes for $1 million. I'm not sure how that's possible, but maybe grant money to offset the exorbitant building costs because materials costs are not a thing that we can control, you know, but maybe to
I
offset.
think that's the governor's new plan is to do some of that stuff.
So there might be grant money for that kind of
There
thing.
isn't now.
Right.
I mean,
so
And
Maybe,
it's not something that we could put into place.
Riddle got $1.2 million to build 20 lots, you know, so maybe there's flexibility in the existing grants. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
which would be interesting to look at our map and kind of target some potential areas where nothing is happening. And it could be an opportunity for some people to invest, landowners, builders, could be, I could see that happening. I know a few people.
Of course,
who
we
are
don't have that in our grant to do that.
in our grant. No,
No,
no, not
but
necessarily.
that's what developers do. They look for properties. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But we should always be thinking of the future. I know the comment was, well, there's nothing like that right now, but there could be. And if we can at least put something into the code that maybe addresses it to some extent, that I think that should be explored.
I mean, that's part of our mission here is to help with the vision for the future
Right.
of this town. I found this housing action plan that was completed in 2018 to be a little staggering, some of the information. And so this is 5 to 6 years old, when it came out. And I believe that the average cost to build was $165 a square foot. Most homes, if you look at the cost per square foot that are for sale, are at least double that.
Well, I looked up the median home value, house value before the meeting. In 2016, it was 247,000. Now it's 502,000. So it's doubled, $500,000. And the median household income only increased to 71,000. So kind of disproportionate. Yeah.
It's crazy. The other interesting thing, one other interesting piece I read from that was in 2016, 16, whenever the study was, there was a 17% vacancy rate in rentals in Port Arthur.
Wow. That is not a problem anymore.
I have a
I
question.
did contact the housing authority and there's no later studies.
No.
This is it. Yeah.
corridor from-
We are is it completely rented?
They're almost
They just
irrelevant
don't
right
have-
now.
There's no more studies
Yeah.
beyond.
Oh, there's no more
Totally
study.
different
Yeah.
times.
So Crystal,
Okay, well,
if we put all this effort into taking care that we can build affordable housing within the city of Port Orford, what's to stop people from Brookings and Gold Beach and other areas coming in here and buying housing that really we're looking for our own residents?
I don't think you
I
can
don't
do
think
California.
you can do that.
Yeah.
Forget about Brookings and
No,
Gold Beach.
no, it's just a thought, because we could be setting things up nicely for people who have struggled to buy or to live in affordable housing here, only for them
For
to
it
be.
become cheaper.
We're
for
not gonna
somebody
have,
else.
we're not gonna have, I don't mean this
True.
bad, but we're not gonna have that much success. We are going to try to make some things easier in our code that we can have something that's already under our purview. We can't go out and start new programs that will contribute to, money to housing or
Yeah.
set up a bank or anything. All we can do is what we have and try to make it a little bit more simple. And as you read in the AARP publications, and AARP has teamed up with American Planning Association to suggest things, and those things that we gave you last month, talked about the issues with those, and nobody's having huge success. All we can do is push things forward a little bit.
I think actually that you make a really good point though, and the way, Carol, the way that we can make sure that the changes that we're making benefit locals is to focus on changes to existing properties that local people own, and they then can rent out ADUs or tiny homes or
Right.
tiny homes on wheels
Yes,
to other local people.
yes. And that's what those publications from AARP were saying. You just hope to make a little bit of a difference
Mhm.
in your community because you can't change everything.
Right.
okay, so I'd like to move on here at this point. There've been great suggestions, and I'd like to move on to, we do have to be out of here at 5:30 today. It's a hard stop. We had a couple things more that are on our agenda, and there was number 6, the code for the RV park, which I saw,
Yeah.
which you've done a great deal of work on, and I wanted to,
I think it'd be good to
You did
go
not.
through it.
I'd like to take a look at it, yes.
Oops. Greg, Carol just pointed out that we didn't approve the minutes from the last meeting. Is that something
yeah.
that we need to do?
Yeah, we
Oh, that
we
wasn't on
jumped
the agenda.
right into our guest speaker there.
It's on there, we just missed it.
Skip the
Number 3.
We were
it's
so
my fault.
excited.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lawton.
Seeing as where we are with item number 5, I would recommend finishing item number 5, and then when we're done with discussion on the RV code, we can go back and finish the minutes if the
Well,
commission is
we're done.
agreeable.
That sounds good. Thank you, sir.
6. Yeah.
Crystal?
Okay, so what we're looking at now is the staff report, some suggestions for RV code language. And so first, look at the subject up there, the draft revisions for review by the Planning Commission. I don't know why this says August 2nd, 2022. My goodness sakes. This is January. No, this is February 2nd. Okay, that's because I took that one box out of there. And okay, because first, if it's proposed new code, it's in bold font. The second check mark, language that's supposed to be removed from our current code is crossed out. Language that exists within our code and there's no expectation for changes in regular font. And comments by the planner are shown in italics. So as you go down here, the first thing that you see under 1740.30 definitions is language from our code that is not suitable. Recreational vehicle, it was talking about a vacation trailer, which is not what they necessarily are anymore. Not for residential purposes, which is not true to the state law anymore. So that has to be crossed out. Then the second one is crossed out. It's in italics, but it's crossed out because this is the only definition that I could find in state laws about recreational vehicle. It doesn't fit. It says that they are temporary living quarters, and the state law now allows them for long-term living quarters. So to have that definition would not be suitable. So we can do without a definition of recreational vehicle, or we can find one on, that, or just shorten it or something where it doesn't say.
I think we should come up with a definition.
I do too. Otherwise it becomes confusing to people.
Yes.
Well, especially if we're trying to distinguish between tiny
Isn't that
house
what the last
deals and,
paragraph is
yeah.
meant to be?
The last paragraph
That's the part.
The
where it says, as defined by the Oregon Director of Transportation. Which one are you talking about?
recreational vehicle park?
That is a park, though. That is
Oh,
not
Not
the
the
definition
vehicle
of a
itself.
recreational
Sorry,
vehicle.
okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes, this definition of recreational vehicle park,
Park,
I think is good.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to do. But
okay.
if we want a definition of recreational vehicle, there's not one existing in Oregon law that I've found yet that fits our purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there
But
something?
there's all
we can
kinds of
amend?
definitions in Oregon law of recreational vehicles.
And maybe we can amend a definition.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can work on that, or if you guys think of something, you can send me an email or something and suggest it. Okay, then on page 2, modifications to our zoning code to clarify recreational vehicle parks. So the first one, this is right out of our code. And an R1 zone does allow recreational vehicle, but it allows it as a conditional use. And there is recreational vehicle temporarily in there. And that's the second thing here. It's number 4. It says see chapter 820 citing permits for recreational vehicle occupation.
Crystal,
So we could leave that in.
I have a
So-
question. Does chapter 8.20 address, I see that that recreational vehicle can be occupied for a period
Not to exceed?
to exceed 12 months?
Not,
It should not
Not.
be in
yeah,
there?
it
Okay.
should be. It
And
seems like
in
it
the next paragraph as well.
But I'm just wondering how we prevent a situation like the crab yard, where I don't know if you know what the crab yard is, but we have an area that has numerous RVs parked permanently without water and sewer, and a lot of them on city right-of-ways. So there's no time frame or guidance on where to put them or for how long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where are those?
I think there are a number of issues in the town where things are not up to code that are not being enforced.
Yeah, well, I just would like to see the new code include language to where we have more teeth as,
You're never
Some
going to
people
have
would
more
say-
teeth unless you have somebody out.
Enforcing.
okay, well, I think we just
I
need
mean,
to write it in the code,
Yeah.
that kind of thing isn't okay. We have to have more guidance on where to put them and how long they can stay and whether they can be in the easement or not, that
Well,
kind of thing.
Have you read chapter 8? I just
I-
saw it today for the first time and it's very good. It actually talks that you can't have it on unimproved land.
Okay, so that's my question. This,
Check your chapter.
it's in there.
Chapter 8, yeah.
Okay,
for
one-
the residential zones, that's what it says. Yeah.
One thing I didn't see was mention of 12 months in chapter 8.20.
I think I took this, well, this is not out of 8. This this is out of our code right there.
Chapter 8
Because
is,
I just put in the note to see chapter 8.
Oh, I thought you were.
chapter 8 is 30 days and may be renewed
And-
once or possibly 60 days. It's a shorter period of time.
Yeah, I got it. I
Anyway,
was
thank
trying
you.
to see if there was something, okay.
Yeah,
I
mean,
got confused. I
So it's
thought
all-
there
Yeah,
was a
I'm not
reference to 12
explaining
months.
it very well, because when, I do this and then I'm looking at it here and I'm like lost myself.
You're doing great.
That's okay, I just,
Okay, so then we have the commercial zone. And that's about the middle of this second page. And the commercial zone has mobile home park and or recreational vehicle parks, like they're the same thing. We need to separate those. They're not the same thing anymore. So we need to cross it out with mobile home park, leave mobile home park in there, and then add language, recreational vehicle park. And then do the renumbering that is necessary.
Crystal, I found in chapter 8.20, there is a definition for a recreational vehicle.
What
That
does it
doesn't
say?
include vacation.
it's A. Are you under A? Is that what you're looking at?
She's on the first page of the.
Would you read that, please?
Sure. Recreational vehicle means a vehicle with or without motive power, which is designed for human occupancy and to be used temporarily for recreational, seasonal, or emergency purposes.
So if,
That would only apply to that chapter.
So do we want to incorporate it?
No, because it doesn't meet the state law.
so if it says, say if it doesn't say temporary, then perhaps that would be
But we
something.
could modify it. Temporary.
See, the state law now allows people to live in
Well,
RVs.
could we leave out temporary then?
Possibly. So
possibly,
we should think
yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good suggestion.
But not in that. We're not revising 820.
No, I know.
Yeah,
We were
The other way
looking for
around.
a definition.
yes.
You could say, keep this or for long-term use.
Mhm.
Just
Right.
amend that, use
Just
that
add it
definition
for the
and
other
just add that
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and put it in our little thing. Shouldn't be so.
I wasn't correcting you. I was just saying, no, don't get on.
No, we're-
But we're just looking for something that that's pretty much written that we can just amend, right?
Right.
Right.
To put in
So-
17.4.
I just looked up the definition of RV. And it says a recreational vehicle, often abbreviated as RV, is a motor vehicle or trailer that includes living quarters designed for accommodation. Types of RVs include motorhomes, camper vans, coaches, caravans, fifth wheel trailers, pop-up campers, and truck campers.
I don't think we include all those things because those don't meet the state law either.
Got it.
Because they have RVs separated from camp type stuff in another state law.
Okay.
Plus, which I think is in here a little bit, some picnic
All right.
park,
Let-
yeah.
Let's,
Okay, number
I think
4.
we've gotten.
I
we've
mean,
got the
I know
recreational
when I
vehicle
hear
parts
it's
pretty
wrong,
good.
but I don't always know what's right.
Mm.
Continue, please.
Okay, so now we're down in the industrial zone and that just says trailer or camping vehicle park. See, that's where we're starting to merge them.
Wow.
And I don't know, there's no definition for it though. So I think that's interesting because this is right out of our code and I'm just saying
Yeah.
no definition. Building codes kind of clarifies it in the wording that they have here, that I put in here just so you guys could see it.
Mhm.
So then we come out of that state code.
This is distinct from from recreational vehicle park.
Isn't it what?
It's distinct from recreational vehicle park, trailer or camping vehicle park.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it is, but we don't have a definition. That's what I'm saying,
Okay.
I guess.
I'm just, maybe I don't know enough about this to know what the distinctions.
Well, I don't know either. I mean, when I'm looking at this stuff and I start seeing these things that sort of intersect and maybe at one time we used them interchangeably, I threw them in here, not because we should keep them all in here, but because
Mhm.
we need to see what we have.
Okay. A picnic park is something that would be like day use only
I
or?
think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
But then they call it camping vehicle park, you know?
Right. That's
Yeah.
confusing.
So I don't know if that language is good in our
Yeah.
code. I mean, maybe that language is not very good,
Right. Or we just have to come up with a definite,
or we just
That
ignore
works
it,
for us.
but
Yeah.
that's not, yeah. Okay, going on to the last page, well, page 3 of this, we have more about the differences between, then they talk about campgrounds and picnic parks and a recreational vehicle park, like they're all
Okay.
related.
Hmm.
And then let's go to the part that we can handle.
Okay.
Recreational vehicle parks. We just did one, and
Okay.
I tried to use a merging of the state laws
Mm-hmm.
and what we did when we went through the RV park. So the first part, applicability. This is straight out of the state law. I think I'm going to put a citation in here of, I think it's ORS 197 or something, so that I'm not going to say the exact citation because then you get in trouble when they move the laws and numbering, but I'm going to reference it to ORS 197.
Okay, good.
And so these things can't be changed. The only one that's not in ORS 197 is E. And I thought that was also applicable. The city of Port Orford has the authority to impose other special conditions on the placement and occupancy through the conditional use permit approval process.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
can you, I just need some clarity. Shall not serve as vacation rentals. Is there any, I guess we've defined vacation rentals or short-term rentals in our.
Oh, D. Yeah, but
Yeah.
those were my words too. That was another one that didn't come out of the state law.
Mm-hmm.
And so do we need to define that or serve as vacation rentals as defined in site where they're defined in our code?
Well, the question is, do you even want D?
Yes, I think we should, but I
Yeah.
think we should
Yes, I do
say
too.
short-term,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
short-term rental,
But what
short-term
you're
vacation
suggesting,
rental.
Sarah, is it should refer back to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it
Or
should
maybe even
refer
a
to our
rental,
code.
even a,
A long-term rental.
no, it could be a long-term, I mean, it's housing.
Yeah.
Right.
So we would call it, shall not serve as short-term rentals
As defined by-
And then we would have to put a definition of short-term
Well,
rentals.
as defined by our code, we have,
Yeah.
we just adopted it.
I know, but
Mhm.
we would
Right.
put the definition in here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think that the definition should be in here,
Mm-hmm.
unless,
No, that's.
No,
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
yeah, because it's not a planning code.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a unanimous feeling all along from day one,
Mm-hmm.
on this commission anyway.
Okay, yeah, so I was wrong. It's the first 3 that come from
Oh, okay.
ORS 197. And then D and E were things that I added.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And E, we kind of have in there somewhere else, but I think we should have it in this section.
I have a quick question. For D, it says that this only applies to recreational vehicles owned by the owner of the RV park, but maybe we should make
Where
it a,
does it say that?
oh, for D, recreational vehicles owned by the owner of the recreational vehicle park shall not serve as vacation rentals, but maybe it should just apply across the board.
Oh, but no, I don't know, because I think these people that have, I mean, this is just a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when people have an RV park, if they allow people to come and go,
Mm-hmm.
they are. I mean, that's what an
Well-
RV park originally has been.
What I'm thinking is if somebody comes to the RV park to put their RV there, who isn't the owner of the RV park, and then goes away for half the year or something and wants to rent it out as a short-term vacation rental. You know what I mean?
Or have it on our own.
So
Yeah, like
the-
put it on
the
Craigslist or-
RV belongs to the owner.
Not the owner of the park, but the owner of the RV.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then they
Yeah.
put it,
Are we
they,
gonna-
they advertise it as a short-term.
yeah.
Then you've
That's a
got
good one.
people coming in.
So there's a
Probably
couple
rare,
of
but it could
scenarios.
happen.
It could
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
There are a couple
You
of
know what? I have found out that in this city, if there is a loophole anywhere, it will be exploited.
Yep.
How
Well,
about, what if we just say recreational vehicles shall not serve as
Short-term
vacation
vacation
rentals?
well,
rentals,
does it
yeah.
even, I mean,
Regardless
I
of
don't
who
know,
owns it.
does it even matter?
Well, regardless of who owns it, yeah, if we just make it general, like, right,
How would
Commissioner
you say
Thielen.
it?
Well,
Yeah, I
but
would
then I'm
strike
thinking-
the owned by the RV park owner.
RV park,
Recreational vehicles shall not serve as
how about
short-term.
shall not be rented?
but
or
they are
sublet-
short-term rentals
Shall
when they
not
come
be
there.
sublet or
Oh, you're
Shall
talking
not be,
about-
I think if we just get rid of owned by the owner of the recreational RV park,
Yeah.
because they're not technically not short-term rentals because the people who own the RVs are living or occupying their own.
But you,
vehicle.
Travel America, I can go rent an RV from Travel America for a week and.
You can, like you have like a rental car, but you're not then abandoning the vehicle and renting it out at $200 a night to some other person who isn't you.
But
Yeah.
would I be classed as a short-term, that'd be a short-term rental?
I don't think so. No.
So this is interesting because it makes me think of Clark across the way who is putting in the RV park. And I asked him
Mhm.
when he was trying to make us think that this was a long-term housing solution.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, are you going to be providing these homes or RVs or trailers? And he said, no. So, but it could potentially happen that he has them,
Mm-hmm.
He buys them.
buys them and
Oh, yeah,
leaves
no,
them
it's-
there.
Yeah.
And then they would be short-term rentals. So, yeah, I think as clear as we can get on
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
I
what
don't
is
know how to do
necessary.
it.
think
As
if-
much granularity as possible.
I think if you just simply say they can't be used as short-term
Right.
rentals, I think the fact that I go to Travel America and rent an RV and I mean, I don't think,
Not a
there's-
short-
I don't think there's an
No.
issue there.
No, and I think the owner of the Madrona RV park that's in development, didn't we put a minimum? He was saying it was going to only be for long term. Didn't we put a minimum on the number of nights?
No.
No?
No, we
Okay.
didn't. We asked
Would
him.
you say permanent short-term rentals?
He was hoping that people would stay for 6 months or something, but he can't
He said, well,
dictate
maybe
that.
30 days. He didn't know.
Okay.
He was,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
he was hedging. At first, I thought it was going to
Nobody
be
knows.
long-term.
Yeah.
Recreational vehicle. Let's think about this one.
Okay, we
and
can
move
table
on.
that.
Let's check this one
Okay.
and move on because
Okay.
we have a hard stop at
Seems simple,
5:30.
but-
I want to make sure we're
Okay,
taking care
Let's
of
go to
business.
page 4, which should be more clear. It's our planning purview. We should be able to understand it.
Yeah,
Page
We're not going to
4.
vote on anything anytime soon, so
No.
yeah.
So, site plan and narrative provided. That's basic. Maps showing topography, wetlands, hazards, and other site conditions to be included. A site plan drawn to scale. We probably should say, well, no, I don't know. That's probably all we need to say for now. Utility easements for electricity and broadband. Provisions for television and telephone. I don't know if you want
I don't-
telephone in there or not.
I don't think we can do that.
Telephone,
Or
television?
Or television, no.
Okay. Electricity, so we've got that.
Electricity
Okay.
and sewer and
Okay.
water.
Sewer plan approved by the Public Works Superintendent and DEQ.
Mhm.
RV park served by city water, or if no city water system is available.
Should, on this particular one, we reference what we've worked on as far as, in the future, anyone who drills a well needs to be
City.
connected eventually to city water? Is there a
Or
reference
just reference
somewhere
the
here?
ordinance. They're
That's-
working on the new well
They're,
ordinance.
that's somebody else, that's the city council.
Yeah.
They're doing that.
Doing that.
Mhm.
Right,
They're
right,
working
they
on
are, but would it help to have it in this particular as a reference?
I don't think we want to conflict any, I don't think we want to stick our nose in that one.
Okay.
Mhm.
I had that
I
right.
think that,
When it's done.
yeah, and I don't even know if the Oregon Health Authority requires, that's another thing to find out, requires a commercial RV park to have a permit, even if it's on public water. So I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
because that would make this wrong. Because
Mm.
this says, if no city water is available, then you have to have from the Oregon Public Health Authority, but you might need it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have to have, if there was a well, it has to be approved by.
But
Oregon.
I mean, not even a well, but I mean, maybe even they require
If they're on city
a
water.
permit if, I mean, they might,
Oh.
because it's,
Yeah.
you're using water in a public, you're
Possibly.
using,
They're redistributing
know.
water.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
So that's a question. Drainage plan prepared by an Oregon registered engineer or a geotech.
This is surface water.
Yes, drainage.
Mhm.
Does it really need to say where there are natural hazards?
Well, the geotech is required where there are natural hazards, but a geotech wouldn't normally be required for a drainage plan.
Tech would be like if you have a really steep slope, coming up close,
But I think if we were doing, if it had a steep slopes, you would want your geohazard to prepare that. Your guy that was
Okay.
registered as a,
I thought it was just a fact that geotech always looked at. plans,
I suppose we could say,
regardless of the terrain.
geotech is required for natural, where there are natural hazards.
Natural, yeah, that's where I've seen it, is with, tied into natural hazards.
So instead of saying or, just say a second sentence, an Oregon registered geotechnical engineer is required where
Mhm.
there are natural hazards. Okay, and then E, a parking space shall be provided for each recreational vehicle space on the site. In addition, I don't know if we did the 200 feet or if
That's
that
what we
came
did
out of
before.
something else. Okay, is that what we did? Okay.
Yeah. And durable and dustless.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then, okay, then we have setbacks here for if they are in a, if there's no setback requirements.
In the zone.
And you can see if those are what you like. I think that's what we
That's
did.
what we did
for-
before.
Yeah, okay. And then setback areas landscaped with vegetation. So
I like
I guess
that.
we should say a
Mhm.
vegetation plan shall be presented.
Mhm.
Stormwater complying with 1718. Erosion plan complying with chapter 1719. Next page. A landscaping plan including site obscuring fencing or plans for a hedge showing expected annual growth with a height and density of at least 6 feet within 5 years shall be included. I don't know if that's the right height.
Are you talking, are we still talking about the perimeter, or are we talking
Well, this is
within?
well,
It's like a natural fence.
it would be like for a boundary.
Natural fence,
At the,
like we requested.
Or a boundary hedge,
Mhm.
or a boundary hedge plan. Hedge plan.
at the setback? Are you talking about in the
Well, it
setback
would be
or around each vehicle?
just to
or-
be around the boundary of the property so that you have a separation of the property.
Like we
I would think-
requested between the Madrona RV park and the neighbor to the west. Yeah.
And
So is that all right to call it a
east side.
boundary hedge plan
required it.
or a hedge plan for the
No,
boundary?
for the highway. Yeah.
I think boundary is not
What
distinct.
about property line?
Property line or within the setback or something like that is.
I'll just put property line within the setback, because,
Yeah,
yeah. A maintenance plan,
the 6 foot height, is that?
well, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well,
It's not very high.
No, it's not very high. We
Mm-hmm.
required 10 feet at the other one.
You want 10 feet?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, what's so good looking about a fence? I would hate to see a 10-foot fence.
Well, it wouldn't be, a
No,
fence can only be
plants.
7, but a planting can be higher.
Yeah.
Oh, the plants.
Mhm.
Plants, yeah.
Yeah.
You want a 10
7
foot?
feet is the limit
Uh,
of fence height in the county.
I like 10 feet, but I don't know if that's imposing on,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, a 6 foot isn't, that's just a,
It's
That's
not
for-
very tall.
that's
that's
for
not a,
fence. But what about, you were talking about higher for
You could put,
hedges and such? Is that what
you
you?
could have put a range like 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 or something.
or at least.
At least
minimum.
minimum of,
Maybe,
Yeah.
Minimum of 8
yeah,
feet.
maybe we
Eight.
separate
Mhm.
the size of the fence and the size
Yes.
of a planting.
Mhm.
Yeah, the fence can only be 7 feet.
Yeah.
But a planting could be higher.
Mhm.
Yeah, 10 feet
Um,
is what we,
Yeah.
It's so hard.
This is really hard.
Feels nitpicky.
It is hard. It's really hard.
Mhm.
You're doing a really great job.
Okay. A maintenance plan for plants and grounds shall be provided at startup and for ongoing maintenance.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Trash and recycling bins need to be provided for use of clients.
Mhm.
By client?
Shall be.
Shall be. For use of clients,
For use by clients.
yeah, used by clients. Trash and cycling,
The clients go in.
recycling shall be, now, do we need to say it's and service? Bins and service
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
because they can provide the bins.
shall be provided for
Mhm.
use by clients.
Yeah.
Crystal, is the terminology clients or residents? Clients has more of a,
Residents?
Well, they're not, they might, residents, it's like
Well,
implies a
even if
time
they're-
frame.
temporary resident. I think resident feels more comfortable than clients.
But
Just
they're
say
not
for-
all going to be residents. You might be having RV parks that are for
Mhm.
You
travelers.
can just, we don't have to say what they're
But they're
for.
residents, temporary or
Trash and
permanent
recyc-
residents.
we just need to say trash and recycling
Recycling.
bins and service shall be provided.
Provided, period.
Mhm.
Okay.
Period. Okay, M, the applicant shall comply with section 1716-060's archaeological discoveries that are made, and that one is in our code.
Mhm.
N, the applicant shall comply with the state fire marshal for all access roads and for any on-site parking. An inspection by the state fire marshal can be arranged through the city planner at the request of the applicant.
Good.
I don't know if we want to take that on.
Mm,
Yeah, maybe we don't.
Inspection.
I mean, we could
Leave it up
do
to
it as
them.
long as we know that there's somebody down there in Brookings, but I don't know.
I would say the onus has to be on the owner of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's not do
let
it.
them figure it out. They can
Mhm.
ask us, we'll tell them where it is. I say we.
So we put shall be arranged.
By we, you mean Joseph.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then we don't have to have
No.
doing that. We can always help them if we want to. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, access roads shall be durable and dustless with width, depth, and materials specified on the proposed plan.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to have the same language for the access roads as we do for E on the parking spaces? Durable and dustless surfaces adequately maintained for all weather use. Do we want something similar
So say the same thing.
as E?
Think so? Okay.
Yeah, comply with the state fire marshal for access roads, and that's specify how deep the gravel's got to be and all that. Yeah, okay.
So, I think we should say, some here, I don't think we've said this here, but I think all of this stuff should be provided by an engineer at some point. I mean, like, these roads should be engineered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first site plan doesn't need to be engineered when they bring it,
Mm-hmm.
but at some point, it has to be engineered
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it's not useful.
Right.
It's not useful.
Mhm.
So, so I guess we could say in A, the very first thing, shall be provided to the planning commission and with an engineered plan
Mm-hmm.
presented at some point. I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
maybe the first time they come, they don't want the engineered plan, but as part of, that would be part of approval, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
shall be presented prior to approval.
Yeah.
Should demonstrate compliance before approval.
An engineered plan is necessary to demonstrate compliance.
Mhm.
Will be necessary. Will be required. To demonstrate.
Compliance before
Approval.
approval, yeah.
Yeah, because I could see them coming the first time, and then if they want it continued, and then they want to go back, then
Mhm.
that's when they need to start doing
Well,
an
and this
engineered
is,
plan.
something that the planner or the planning assistant, if we have this list, they can say, this is what you need.
It's a
We're going to
checkoff
ask
list.
for it. Here it is. This is what you're going to have.
Can I just go back to something and it's really quick? L, could we say something like adequate trash and recycling shall be provided? So we don't have someone just
Yeah.
getting service and it doesn't meet the needs of the entire park and it's all overflowing and we have rats and, you know. so
Adequate trash and recycling and service shall be provided.
Yeah,
Great.
Mhm.
just to preclude.
And then on P, we go to Oregon Building Codes has authority for plan review and construction of recreational vehicle parks. Applicants need to consult with the building department so that the site plan and narrative of the application submitted to the city of Port Orford for the conditional use permit complies with building codes. Not doing so could cause delays and additional public hearings where site plans need reviews following the initial city conditional use permit approval. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah,
And I don't even know if this is where it fits.
I don't know
Or
that
if it should
that
be-
description is just, that's just,
Should this go with A? It seems like,
Do we need to put not doing so will result in additional delays and, I mean, is that
Well,
necessary?
I mean, that's what like Christopher wasn't getting.
right.
Right,
You know,
Yeah.
even though we
It's the
told him
reality.
from the very beginning, you need to check this with building codes. And he kept coming back and he never did. We had to check it with building codes because it was like, we knew that it didn't comply.
Yeah, I would say yes, the onus has to be on the developer or the
oh,
owner
definitely.
to do that. Yeah.
I just didn't know if it was.
But we could just put this, we could put it at the very beginning of application.
Yeah. It feels like a beginning matters.
Plan review and construction of recreational vehicle parks shall comply with Oregon State building codes. If you, instead of starting with the authority, don't have authority.
Planning and construction.
Plan review and construction or
Plan review.
plan review and construction of recreational vehicle parks, as it says in the first sentence, shall comply with Oregon State building codes.
And then we can tell them that.
And then the other applicants need to consult with.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the last part of that is.
We can say that. I mean, that's,
We can just.
I
say-
think
we
it's
don't
help.
have to put it in here.
I would,
Yeah,
I
okay,
would
yeah,
leave it.
I would just say that. I don't think
Yeah.
it needs to be in there. I think we've kind of gotten burned a couple times, so we want to be like really careful, but I think it should, when we say shall, I think everybody's supposed to perk up when you say that word.
Supposed to being the
Kind of
operative
old
phrase.
English. Say, Crystal, did you mean for there to be 2 ABCs at the beginning of the application?
No.
Yeah.
I think she did. It looks like
I
she-
wondered about that.
It's AA, BB, and CC.
You know, my
A,
computer
B, B, and CD.
doesn't like to do these in order. and
Blame it on the
stops in
computer,
the middle,
Crystal.
you know?
Yeah.
It's
Really?
like, yeah,
I
it
do.
starts a new one all the time, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? When
Is
the
it
old
in
computers
Word?
could do it, I must be doing something wrong.
This
I
is-
probably don't have it set right or
It's a feature in Word that I struggle with for the last like 30 years. It's still not as good as it should be.
no.
10 minutes.
You have to put your cursor over it and select continue numbering,
Every
and then
time.
it will. Yeah, every time. It's not smart enough to guess what you're doing.
And yet WordPerfect could do it perfect years ago.
Yeah, it was better back in the day.
All right.
Okay, well, that's about as far as we want to go today.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
could I make a suggestion on Q? Applicants shall provide a signed acknowledgement of. Joseph, didn't we design a form, acknowledgement form for this?
Yes.
So my thinking is we, in quotes, put the name of that form so it's clear that there's an actual form. The applicant shall provide a signed yada, yada, yada form.
I think that's what it's called, isn't it?
That is what it's called.
Just acknowledgement?
No, time on a,
Time on a permit for conditional use.
Oh, that's the name of the form too, as well, I mean.
I mean, it's
Time on a, no,
not
I'm talking about
like
the
a specific
title on the
form. It's
form.
part of what they would need to fill out in order to get a conditional use.
Yeah, so on the form itself, what's the title on the form?
It's just part of the packet. It's not like it has a header with a specific name. It would be,
Hmm.
at the top of it, it would be 17.3206, time on a permit for conditional use, which then states the code and then is basically just a drafted I space hereby acknowledge that I will follow 17.32.060 time for, time on a conditional permit
'Cause it's
use.
easier to reference a form
Okay.
name. So my only point.
thank you.
Mhm.
Let's move on. Planning clearances, so number 6, actually, now we're going to approve the minutes, or we're going to
Okay.
attempt to approve the minutes. The minutes are contained in the packet. Are there any comments on the minutes? Oh. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes for, what's our date here? The 6th?
January 9th? Is it?
January 9th,
January 9th?
2024.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Head has seconded. Any more discussion on that? Commissioner Lawton,
Yes.
Commissioner Head,
Yes.
Commissioner Lovendall,
Yes.
Commissioner Burnt,
Yes.
Commissioner Thielen is a yes. Thank you. Okay, that has been duly done. Discussion items, number 6. Planning clearance is approved since last meeting.
There was one, it was 710 Agate Beach. They're doing an expansion on their house.
It's a compound.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Discussion item 2, or B, time limit for a permit under conditional use, page 6 and 7. So that was something that we talked about last meeting. And I went to the city council and they said yes. There was a consensus, yes, go ahead and look at this. There was, I think there was one comment said, we don't have a lawyer, so don't try any fancy stuff or something like that. But it wasn't really that. But anyway, so I have put on 2 different, I've put our Port Orford time limit on a permit for conditional use. This is very standard if you look around the county and around the state, around all over the United States, time limit on a permit for conditional use is very common. Gold Beach has one, Curry County has one. I was originally looking at Curry County, and I liked some of the things there. I looked at Gold Beach and I really liked some of the things there too. I guess we could spend a minute or 2 on this if we want. I would just encourage you to definitely, but just to look at it and think through what these things mean. I guess I'll just say a little bit. Gold Beach, the one I really liked, number 2, once the construction of the structure or facility specified in the conditional use permit is completed, the conditional use permit is considered to be issued on a permanent basis. It seems to be a kind of a no-brainer. That's how it works. Which by stating that, it implies that if you haven't completed it, it's not.
That,
Yeah.
but a conditional use isn't always a structure.
Yeah, that's what when you look at the first paragraph there and it says authorization may specify unless substantial construction has taken place. It may not be construction, but
Right.
they've moved.
It might
So
be a use.
it would be more about substantial progress toward construction
Or
or.
whatever the use
Progress.
is.
You
Well-
don't even have to have construction. A conditional use could be a use.
Yeah. And Curry County addresses that. If you look at Curry County,
Okay, let's look at it.
Oh dear, where is it? They address that very same thing.
Yeah, and it does. Yes.
And I don't know which
Down
one.
at the bottom, number 6, conditional permitted do not involve structural development.
Right. And so I don't know how much we want to go into this right now. This is complicated and we really need to sink in, let it sink in. We
Yeah.
need to take it home and set it by our bed and look at it.
Can we add it to the next,
Yeah, this will be on next time.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to put it on here, something for us to look
Thank
at.
you.
If you'd like to look at other jurisdictions, every jurisdiction, they've got it. Clackamas County, they got them. I've looked at a lot of them. A lot of them are really long.
I'm just noting how ours is notably short in comparison.
Art is the shortest one I've seen.
Yeah.
That's why we're in trouble.
Gold Beach, I really like that Gold Beach keeps it really kind of, they cut pretty close to the bone on that one. But they do say structure on that. And if I read through it again, they may have addressed that. But that was a good point. Curry County does address that. So I think we kind of are going to
Read
need to
over
look at some of these and think of what we need and what's going to work.
Yeah.
Conditional uses out in the counties, like maybe they're doing mining or something like that. And we have some probably in the city that I'm not thinking of, where it's just the use. It's not a structure or anything.
Or even a right of way, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A park?
We have a conditional use for the water that's going to go to the golf course.
Right.
So,
That is
Yeah.
construction. That's a construction of a type.
yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is
Yeah.
or not.
If it ever happens. Well, it's a structure.
It's a use. No, the structure.
It's the
It's
use.
a pipe.
No, the pipe is a structure.
Yeah.
It's the use. Maybe we need a definition of use in the,
Well,
you know,
there you
right?
go.
Let's make more definitions.
Like, well, I mean, like a variance is, you do a variance for, you can do a variance, but you can't do a variance for use. I mean, that's what
Right,
they all say.
right.
And so,
Hmm.
people want to come in and change the use by variance, and you can't do that.
Okay,
A
so it's
variance
actually a
has
planning
to
thing.
do with the way
Mm-hmm.
it's laid out.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I bet we can come up with
yeah,
something.
I bet we can.
Yeah.
So let's think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have anything else to say on
I
that?
would just like to say that no matter what we do in code, it is harder than it looks, because as soon as you put something down, it's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, we have time because
But if we don't try,
yeah.
nothing
Right.
happens.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, public considerations. Does any of our large group of public that's watching
Wait.
this have anything to say?
Can I say something under other business, city planner comments?
Uh,
7, real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over
Yeah.
city planner comments. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted
Please
to
do.
update on, I presented the traffic calming idea to the city council and they were very receptive. And it just so happens that the state just legalized the use of ticketing cameras the governor just legalized the use of ticketing cameras in Oregon. And so the mayor's eyes lit up and he went, ooh, revenue, so
Yeah.
So we're kind of like, in addition to exploring just traffic calming in general, also the idea of ticketing cameras and how to fund that and how much it's going to cost. So I'm going to do a more extensive presentation somehow at the next meeting. I'm going to clone myself and my clone is going to create a presentation for the city council on traffic calming.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Other commissioner comments? Let's see, we had city planner comments too.
I only want to say that I need to get with you on
Mhm.
the phone about your drawing and
About the infographic? Okay, sure. Yeah, it would be great if I could just get a little guidance on, because we want to be very succinct and so we want to convey the salient points to the community.
And eventually I will get with you on planning this meeting.
Okay. And also an article. I'm interested in helping to find any input on that. Okay, and I would just like to say, I would like to thank all the commissioners for you guys are working hard. I really appreciate everybody being involved, and also Crystal and Joseph. And I also like to put out the welcome mat for for our thousands of watchers. We're just citizens trying to do something to help our city, and there's 2 spots open on our commission, and we welcome
I think so.
different points of view. So.
All right.
Thank you very much. Next meeting is,
We did have a public consideration, I believe.
we did. Oh, good.
I believe Jennifer Henar, I hope I said that right, raised her hand. So if she would like to speak, now would be the time to do it.
Yes,
Not that
Jennifer,
I'm-
you have 3 minutes, please. Go ahead and speak. Say your name and where you live, and go ahead and speak.
You appear to be muted if you are trying to speak.
Can you unmute her, Joseph?
No, but I sent her an unmute request.
Okay.
Yeah, she raised her hand. No comment in the chat. I have sent her an unmute request.
So Jennifer, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute and state your name and address and what you'd like to say.
Maybe she went away from her computer.
Well,
All right.
I don't think it's going to happen. So our next meeting will be March 5th. Is that right? March 5th?
Yep.
March 5th at 3:30 PM. Thank you all very much. Meeting's
Thank you.
adjourned. It's,
Meeting adjourned at 5:24.
thank you.
Oh, early.
Great job.
You get